Michael Carnaval is branch manager and financial advisor. Securities offered through Raymond James Financial Services Incorporated, 400 Southbridge Street in Auburn, Massachusetts, 1-800-657-9126. A member of FINRA SIPC and are not deposits, not insured by FDIC or any governmental agency, not guaranteed by Webster 5 Cent Savings Bank, and subject to risk, may lose value. Webster 5 Cent Savings Bank is not affiliated with Raymond James Financial Services Incorporated. The information contained in this report does not purport to be a complete description of the securities markets or developments referred to in the material. The information has been obtained from sources considered to be reliable, but we do not guarantee that the foregoing material is accurate or complete. Any information is not a complete summary or statement of all available data necessary for making an investment decision and does not constitute a recommendation. Any opinions are those of Michael Carnaval and not necessarily those of RJFS or Raymond James. Expression. And it's welcome to Conversations with, and Michael Carnaval is with me, and we're kind of looking forward to this conversation.
Yeah, absolutely.
We've had an intriguing year.
Interesting year.
Very interesting. And we sit today, well over 24,000 points, knocking on the door at 25, and we're going to come out of the year with a huge increase for the market itself. And
Absolutely.
when you go into the bank to deposit a check or pick up whatever you do in the bank, and you look up at their big signs, now 1%. If
They got the decimal point in the wrong place.
If you give us the money for a year, we'll give you 1%. And here's the market that's going to come out of the year with over 25% increase.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing. As a matter of fact, 2017, we saw 70 yearly highs in the Dow, and that's the most of any year.
Wow.
That the Dow's been around.
Wow.
So, I mean, and as you just mentioned, up 25% for the year, seems like a good year, and it has been. We haven't seen returns like that. In 2013, we saw 26, but we had to go back to 2003 and then 1999 to see a year like we had this year.
Yeah. And it's just amazing.
It really
I
is.
think the thing, you and I used to have great delight in chatting about breaking news. And we've had all kinds of breaking news, and the market's been oblivious.
It really has. I mean, daily basis, there's either something from the president or something from the opposition.
Some statement of the FBI or the whatever.
And you would have thought some of it would have stuck, but absolutely none. No, I mean, it's really, a bit amazing. I mean, we took a real change back in November of 16 with the election.
Yeah.
A lot of people were very, very negative, but I mean, it was a change that, people have been wanting a change for a long time. And we got it, and the results have been very good.
Well, I did a program earlier with one of our state reps, and we were chatting at the end of the program, and I asked him about the elections in the fall, and he made a dynamic point. He said, here's what I do know. In 2018, with this new tax bill that a lot of people, the media, everybody's blasting, and then everybody's saying, oh, blah, blah. He says, 80% of the people in the United States of America, because of it, in 2018, will have lower taxes. 80%. He says, and I don't care if it's $20, if it's $80, if it's $500. He remembered the checks that George Bush sent everybody, $600 check you got in the mail. And he says, people are going to see more income. And he said, they're going to sit back and say, hey, wait a minute, this tax bill isn't that bad. Now, he says, no question, the rich are going to get very richer.
Right.
No question about it.
Right.
He says, and then the second thing that's the intriguing part, if in fact those businesses who are now going to enjoy a 14% decrease in their taxes, if they will take that money and expand those businesses, as the president said, and it will create more jobs. And he brought up the fact that two companies, Walmart being one of them, has already said that once this goes into effect, they're going to be more willing to increase their wages to $15 an hour. Well, You take all those people who are making $11 and $12 an hour, $4 more times 40 hours. That's a lot of money.
It is. Oh yeah.
That's a big raise.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
That's a big raise. Even if they do it over a 2 or 3 year step, they're gonna start making more money than they've ever made in their lives for saying welcome to Walmart.
Yep.
And so his point is we could very well see this president image turn.
Well, it has already. The favorability ratings, they were down, I don't know, in the 20s or something, and they're up about to 40.
Yeah.
So he's already seen a little.
Yeah, and if when they get those paychecks and they get a $5 or $10 or $15 or $20 increase in their take-home pay, they're going to sit back and say, "Whoa,
everything's pretty good."
the guy was right."
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens.
Absolutely.
But let's just chat about the results. We obviously know they're very well. Very
We
good.
know the results are really unbelievable, really would be a way I would describe it. As we sit today with a day to go in the year, we're up 25.6% on the Dow. I mean, nothing more to say there.
Yeah, and it'll probably pick up a few more points tomorrow.
It could very well. Interest rates, it continued to go down, actually. The 30-year Treasury fell during the month of December, now at 2.76%. It's interesting with all the efforts that the Federal Reserve has done this year, raising short-term interest rates. It's had the exact opposite effect on long-term rates. Long-term rates are actually lower than they were a year ago. And I think that is a signal that, a lot of people feel that inflation is, well under control. And usually if that's the case, then you don't see a big rise in the long-term rates.
I think, Michael, the good word for it all is stability. We have a lot of stability, and that's what makes them feel more comfortable. We don't have these like the breaking news. It just moves. It's been smooth, and it's just you just keep back and giggling.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Technical stuff. I mean, nothing earth-shattering there. We won't even bother mentioning the numbers because, it's more of the same. There's really been no movement.
Yeah.
The big thing. A lot of news last month. The tax bill was the major one, I think. And of course, corporations are going to get millions of dollars. But, some of that's going to go to raising dividends. Some of that's going to go to hiring more people. Some of that's probably going to go to buying back stock. So that's all good for the economy.
Yeah, and even look at what if they go out and buy a bunch of new machinery?
Absolutely.
That's upgrade the plants, build a new plant. I mean, Kraft is talking about building a plant down in North Carolina, someplace, to increase his paper holdings. Well, that's construction work. That's machinery. That's equipment. So then it's going to benefit the manufacturers, who also now have got their increase, where their corporate taxes are going from 35 to 21, and that's a 14-point drop.
Yep.
And so consequently, that's generating revenue for them. And this is an opportunity for them to expand their business, to invest in new equipment that needs to be done, and certainly if the business grows, that's more job opportunities.
Right.
And so if that we already know they're going to get more money.
Right.
If that factor starts to take place, and we see these major companies, McDonald's, Walmart, start increasing their pay for these workers, it's just going to be a very positive situation.
Right. Yeah. I mean, there's nothing bad about lower taxes. What they do with the money, well, we'll find out. But the fact that the
only downside is the country is going to be in debt more.
Right. But again.
But we got the money.
Right.
We can pay it.
Right. And if we can grow to a point where we can cover that, that's a plus.
That's right.
I mean, it's.
Well, look,
we won't know that for
there's another factor.
Right.
And the other side of that is the more money you earn, by the way, the more tax they get out of you.
Well, that's true.
So
exactly
we got to remember that. It's nice to get a $40 raise,
right?
Except they get 12 of it.
Right, right. So they're going to take.
So there's more revenue driving back to the government.
That's exactly right.
To offset what might be a downside.
Yeah, major accomplishment this year.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about it. The interesting, we talked about how great the stock market has been and whatnot. Interestingly, every December is an anniversary of when Apple Computer first issued stock, and it's now been 37 years. And had you bought 100 shares, it would have cost you $2,200. you'd be almost a millionaire today. The interesting thing is you could not have done that in Massachusetts because the Securities Division, Secretary of State, barred Massachusetts residents from participating in the initial offering of Apple Computer because they made a statement saying that it didn't have solid earning prospects. And
Really?
every December, I like to look at the
in.
headlines and see that.
Really?
Yeah, interesting.
Well, but it is interesting.
It is.
You know how somebody can make a statement,
Yeah.
and in the end they were dead wrong.
Dead wrong. Couldn't have been.
More wrong than
No.
that. No.
No.
Well, you know, the other side of that is I share a story. Jen, my wife Jen,
Mm-hmm.
has an Apple. I think it's a 6S, and we now know that Apple has been sending upgrades that slow the computer, slow it down, because it's wear and tear on the batteries, and now they've got 6 lawsuits against them because they never told anybody they were doing it, and somebody found out. One of these gurus figured out my phone is slow, and found out that Apple has actually sent upgrades that have actually slowed the phone down to take pressure off the batteries, because they didn't want to start replacing batteries. Now, with the lawsuits, it would have been cheaper to give everybody a
Yeah,
new
a new
battery,
battery. Oh,
than,
sure.
you know, and say, look, once you've had the phone, it takes about a year. But once because there's so many, I'm trying to remember the number, but it doesn't matter. There's so many times that you can charge that battery.
Yeah,
And every time you
loses-
charge it,
yeah.
you wear and tear on it. So it's only got so many. So once you get to about a year, it's about 600.
Okay.
And that's when it starts to slow down. Well, they've slowed them down to drag that 600 out longer.
Okay.
And the other reason, well, most people think the real reason they did it was to get you to upgrade your phone. Because their sales haven't been as good as they wanted them to be.
Okay.
So they're trying to think, well, let's slow those babies down,
Yeah.
and they'll go get a new phone, and that'll boost
Go
our
as
sales.
fast as one.
But at any rate, now there's class action suits and so forth. So it'll be interesting. And I see a thing today that His Honor, Mr. Cook, made $102 million last year, and now the company has ordered him to fly privately in private planes
Okay.
because he's so important and so wealthy that he can't go on a regular
Can't go
flight
on a
anymore.
regular-
Afraid somebody can bop him on the head
Yeah,
or something,
yeah,
steal his money. But at any event,
Amazing.
now he's going to be forced to fly. But that's a great point.
Amazing. Yeah.
You know that they'd have been millionaires today if they
Yeah.
had done it for
Yeah.
for a
Just
few
under
bucks.
$1 million. Yep.
Yeah, yeah, that'd be amazing.
But you know,
The rest is history, so they say.
that's exactly right.
You know.
We sit here today.
Yeah, well, unbelievable.
Absolutely. You know, the Federal Reserve raised interest rates again
Yeah.
last month. The vote was not unanimous, 7-2, but you know, and they kind of hinted that they're going to continue to raise interest rates in 2018. You know, probably at least 2 or 3 times. So
Yeah, but they're minimal.
they're minimal, and it's still from a very, very low.
Oh yeah, it's not at zero. You're going up 25%. I mean, it's almost negligible.
Yeah. The rest of the world during the month of December did the opposite. Canada, the United Kingdom, and the European Union all voted to keep interest rates the same, and Russia actually lowered interest rates. So I don't think just because the U.S. is starting to raise interest rates, I don't think that's a signal that the whole world is suddenly going to start raising interest rates.
I think, in candor, that the USA has lost some of its, international clout. Where if we came up with a new pin to hold your tie, everybody in the world would have one.
Right.
You know, and now I don't think they worry about us as much as they once did.
No, I think the election may have had something to do with that. I mean, you listen to, it's been over a year now.
Yeah.
And you listen to the, the group that didn't win.
Yeah.
They're still
Whining.
bitter about
Whining,
it,
yeah.
and whining and whining.
You know, we have a program I do with a fellow named Richard Morco, who writes for the Sturbridge Times, and he and I do a sort of a tongue-in-cheek, fun program about politics. And we had a program for December, and you'll remember because you've been around a long time. Remember, if you were a bad boy, you got a bag of coal
Right.
for Christmas.
Sure.
Well, I had two. I found them in the store for $1, and I had 2 little bags of coal. I brought them in, and I wrapped a box up, and we had presents. And he and I, we each had our own list of who got a bag of coal
Okay.
and who got a present.
Yeah.
And so we were going through this, and we had a lot of fun with it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And he gave President Trump a present and a bag of coal.
Okay.
You know, and so we had a lot of fun. But we gave bags of coal to all the naysayers,
Yeah.
and we gave a bag of coal. We each had them on our list to Hillary and Bill.
Yeah.
Go home.
Yes.
We said, it's over.
You've lost. It's
Yeah,
done.
it's
You've
done.
got to do something
And
else.
every 3 days she pops up again. Now, the amazing thing is, you know who keeps her propping up? Is the president.
Oh, yeah.
He keeps
Keeps
hammering
talking
away
about
at Comey,
Yeah, well,
and he took care of Hill,
yeah.
you know, crooked Hillary,
Yeah.
every 3 days, and he props it, and then
Yeah.
she gets another interview,
That's right.
you know,
Yeah.
and she's back on again, you know, and but you know, it's over.
Well, it's like anything else, whether it's an athlete who stayed
Yeah.
too long.
Oh, yeah.
She stayed too long.
Stayed too long.
And you
Well,
got
there was 2 elections she was predicted to win both of them,
Right.
and lost both.
right.
I mean, a kid from Chicago beats her in a primary.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know. Hello.
Yeah. And it's, I mean, it's amazing what has happened in the past year. Don't think nobody predicted it.
No.
It wasn't a disaster.
No. And you know what I tell people all the time? In my life, I've had President Roosevelt, President Truman, President Eisenhower, President Kennedy, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Some were great, some were good, some were not so good. Not one of them got up every morning and said, how can I ruin America today? Even Richard Nixon didn't do that.
Right.
Everybody wanted to be the best. And so we've gone through, I don't know, 12, 14 presidents, and we're all still
And
here.
we're still here.
Yeah.
And in many cases, better than we've ever been.
Hey, you know,
So-
that's what I've said. Sometimes they were good, sometimes they were bad.
Yeah.
But you know what? Somebody came along to replace them, and it didn't matter.
That's right. They hate to say it, but it's true.
True. And here we are.
It's true.
18 later or 15 later, whatever it is, you know, Catholics, Protestants, whatever.
Doesn't matter.
And we're here.
And we're here. And we're still
And Trump's
number
been here
one.
a year, and we haven't gone away yet.
Right.
You
Absolutely.
know, and here we sit, 2 gigglies
yeah.
over a market that's up 25%.
Yeah. A lot of people got, you know, with that, we talk about that breaking news and stuff. A lot of people got sort of stuck with all that negativity
Yeah.
news, and it prevented them from doing. I mean, I heard it, you know, oh, you know, George Bush second, how terrible. Then I heard about how bad Clinton was. Then I
Oh,
heard
yeah.
about, oh, this guy Obama, thank God
Yeah.
he's gone. And now it's Trump. And it's the same people saying the same things over again. My God, what they've missed is really a fortune. Really.
That's right. They have.
They've missed a fortune.
And you know, and then naysaying. I mean, we have a situation where we have 2 senators here in Massachusetts, and the 2 of them spend all their time ranting and raving about Donald Trump.
Yeah.
How much work have you done in the Senate?
Yeah.
What about the bad road? What about the potholes?
That's right.
What about the town that needs water? What are you doing with that?
Nothing.
And Elizabeth Warren spends all her time fighting and arguing with Donald Trump.
Yeah. Yeah.
And all he's got to do is call a Pocahontas,
Ah.
and that gets her going.
Yep.
And man, we got 5 days of tweets back to him,
Uh-huh.
calling him all kinds of names.
Yeah.
In
Yeah.
the meantime, who's minding the store?
Nobody.
And it hasn't hurt Trump. He's down playing golf.
Hasn't
now,
hurt him
now
at
he
all.
spent that whole campaign saying that Obama should not leave the White House during Christmas and shouldn't be out playing golf. He's been gone for 10 days and he's played golf every day.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what?
Right.
We're all
Absolutely.
still here.
We're still here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. You know, so there
Yeah,
we
no,
are.
it is amazing. I mean, you know, Janet Yellen had her last press conference as the Federal Reserve Chair. She'll have one more meeting, but at the end of January, but no press conference.
No.
So, you know, and then she's gone in February, and the new person presumably gets approved and starts sitting in beginning in February. But there doesn't seem to be anything that's going to say he's going to change anything
No.
from what she did. So
No.
we continue to move forward.
Yeah. And why would he want to change?
There'd be no reason to.
What's the purpose? You're up 25%. What more do you want?
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Leave it alone. You know, I always remember President Reagan, and I have it on my refrigerator at home. I love it. He says, for far too long, government has been coming up with miracle cures for which there is no known disease and fixing things that aren't broken.
Yeah, yeah.
He's right. He was right in the 80s, and he's as right today as he was then.
Absolutely.
We come up with miracle cures for there's no disease, and we're fixing things that aren't broken.
Yep.
And so as a consequence, this fella comes in and just leave it alone.
Is essentially
it's working.
Trump may have wanted to reappoint Yellen, but she was a Democrat. So what did he do? He appointed a Republican who was almost as close to as Yellen's thinking as you could get.
Yeah, that's right.
So I mean,
and
no
to
change.
to his credit, he probably
Absolutely.
took that into
He
consideration.
saw what was happening.
Don't change anything. Just go. I'm going to put you in there because I need to make the appointment.
Right.
Don't change it. Listen to Yellen. Do what she did.
Yeah.
Keep it going.
Yeah. Yeah.
And why wouldn't you?
There'd be no reason not to.
I mean,
really.
there's nothing I look ahead in 2018. Obviously a catastrophic occasion, but in the way they're now finding out about these tourism traps before they do it, and they're catching them and shutting them down. We're getting better and better at it.
Yep.
There's nothing looking ahead in 2018 that says we won't continue to grow.
No, it doesn't seem like the tax cut. I think the tax bill is going to surprise a lot of people with the amount of money companies are going to save, and they can use that for they can't take it all home in salary, so some of it's going to be left behind.
Yeah,
for the
and not only
benefit of
that,
everybody.
as Representative Durant said, 80% of the citizens in the United States of America who are working today on that first paycheck in February, they're going to get more dollars.
Yeah.
Less money taken out of their paychecks. He said it's there. And the minute, whether it's $2 more or $20 more or $200 more, people are going to have more money to spend.
Right. Yeah.
And he says, as they move through the year, by the time they get to those elections, they're going to be hard pressed to change anything.
Unless, like I said, unless something earth-shattering
Yeah,
comes
that you don't
out.
see. Yeah.
But the longer we go without anything like that, the more I'm inclined to believe there's really nothing there.
Yeah.
I mean, they were trying to find all types of dirt that they could possibly find in this past election. It doesn't appear that they've found
Well,
anything.
now that, let me tell you where they are. Saw a story this morning. Ivana, the kid, the young Trump, Ivanka, whatever her name is, she has a line of clothes. And she's been wearing her own clothes to all special events with the president and at the White House. Now they're coming up and they're raising conflict of interest because she's perpetrating her own
Product
clothing line.
Yeah.
So that people see her wearing them. Oh, I love that dress. I'll have to get one of those.
Yeah.
And there's a conflict of interest. I mean,
Yeah.
go buy a lottery ticket and scratch it. Well,
Yeah,
yeah, maybe you'll win $2.
Yeah. Well, I think, again, they're grasping at straws because there's been nothing there.
Anything. And the only thing that's still in there, and we all know that Mueller is a dedicated guy.
Right.
If something comes out of that,
Right.
that could be, but the only thing that really could come out of it is it could force an impeachment vote, which would be tough to get, and it'd be very difficult to get him impeached. Now, he may get fined, he may get a, what do they call it, obstruction of justice,
Okay.
and then the lawyers will drag that out for 2 or 3 years or 4 years, and it will eventually just go away.
He'll be long gone.
And if the Russians meddle, so they meddled.
You know.
It's over and done with. You can't change it. Can't go back.
No.
It's done.
No.
So you say, bad boy, Russia. Don't do that again.
Yeah.
Okay, what else can you do?
There's nothing to.
And if Trump helped him, oh well. What are you going to do about it? He's elected. He's sworn in.
Right.
He's the president of the United States.
Right.
All you can say is, he shouldn't have done it.
Well, as Russia is trying to influence us, you got to believe we're also doing the same thing.
We got our planes up there, spying on them every day.
So,
Yeah, it's a quiet war game.
I mean, I know when I went to vote, both the primary and the election, I didn't see any Russians
No,
telling me
no,
what to
nobody,
do.
nobody whispered in your ear.
No. So, I mean,
Yeah, and I didn't have any. I
we do
voted,
the same thing.
Yeah,
You know.
but for what it is.
It is.
So what do we look like going ahead?
Well, we look at how the economy's been doing. More of the same. Low unemployment, low jobless claims, growing non-farm payrolls, and inflation. at or near 2%. So that all looks pretty good.
Yeah.
Looking to 2018, January's been historically a so-so month, kind of ranks right in the middle of the 12 months. It is slightly positive overall since 1950, maybe up about 1%. But, with what has happened over the past year or year and a half, I mean, the market looked like it was setting up for maybe a little bit of a decline in November. That didn't happen. December, we know, is just one of the strongest months.
Yeah.
So we could start the new year, with the market down a little bit.
Well, wait. Let's just say, to your point, it goes up the average of 1%.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to close somewhere around 24.8.
Oh, yeah.
You want to take 1% of 24.8?
Sure. Oh, sure.
Any night.
Yeah, you're
Hey,
over
I'll take that every day.
25. Yeah, absolutely.
So
yeah.
you're up to 25.
Mm-hmm.
Boom, there you are.
I think the big thing is there's nothing out there, at least that we can see right now, that would say 2018 is going to be a bad year.
No.
No. I mean, you got the tax situation. I mean, that's going to get stronger and stronger as the year goes by.
Oh,
as
yeah.
companies get more and more money. You're going to do something. They're going to do something good with that.
And 80% of the people are going to get
Are
more,
gonna get a- are gonna get a
more
cut.
tangible income every week.
Yep.
And so that's going to have an effect. It's got to have an effect.
Social
and the
Security
car
payments
and
are
the
up.
car guys are giving them away.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
The deals out there. Mm-hmm. I mean, they'll just give you anything to take a car.
Yeah. And you look at the stores, routinely 40 to 60% off.
Yeah.
And they had a good year. They had a good holiday season. I mean,
Great year.
Malls especially did.
Yeah,
very
they
well.
did very well.
So that's a sign that there's a lot of money.
Macy was trying to sell his place in September.
It's coming
He had-
back.
He had a 4.9% increase
Yeah.
in December sales.
Yep.
From a year ago. He's up almost 5%.
Yep.
He's not selling anything.
No. So, I mean, I think, we will start 2018 in, very good shape, I think, and continuing what has been built this year. And then you just got to see what happens.
Yeah, well, not only that, but a lot of the companies that did have trouble, what they ended up doing, because they were forced into it, was downsize. They were closing stores that were non-productive.
Yep.
So those companies, as they retreated, then the stores that were doing well will continue to do well.
Right.
And they don't have the overhead of carrying the stores that weren't doing well. I mean, as Sears Holdings and these different companies who struggled have shed some of their expenses by closing up some of these places, there's a possibility that they themselves now will be in a better financial shape going into 2018.
Right. Yeah.
Because they've tightened their belt and they've cut their overhead.
Yep.
And so that's not going to be a bad thing.
No, I don't think so.
No. Now we know that the Patriots just stole Jim Harrison or James
Yes.
Harrison from
Yeah,
the Steelers.
yeah.
The Steelers are all mad. They're all ranting and raving down there saying he sold us out.
Yeah.
He did all kinds of things. And it looks like Belichick did it again.
Looks like it.
Needs a guy.
Yeah.
Van Noyer's out and Hightower's out. He needs a linebacker. We
Yeah.
see that we've been struggling the last 3 or 4 weeks. So he finds one.
Yep.
Like he has every year.
Right.
This isn't new.
No,
He does
no,
it every year.
no.
He finds this guy
Every
on
year
a
there's-
pile,
right.
on a pile of heap, and he pulls him in. And so you got to they let you go. Come and see me.
Come and see us.
And
Yeah.
they gave him number 92. I saw a picture of him today in his new uniform.
Okay.
Number 92. And he says, don't worry about them. He says, they're just sore losers. That's what he told his friends from Pittsburgh in the press this morning. They're sore losers.
Okay.
Because they're all beating on the poor guy. But here we go into the playoffs now.
Yep.
And we got one game left, and then we go in the playoffs. We got our bye. We have home field advantage. Got to be something that dictates that.
Well, usually the market does not do well in years that the Patriots win Super Bowls. That was different.
Well, a
this
little
year.
different this year.
A little bit
Well, see,
different
they
this
didn't really win it. They came back like a gangbusters. So
Right.
That was a different. It wasn't that they ran away with that
Right,
game.
right.
So that the way they
Yeah.
won it might have motivated everybody.
Right. I mean, you could say they actually really did lose it.
Yeah.
And that's why
Yeah.
but
Well,
generally
and
speaking.
not only that, but they did the same thing to Pittsburgh a week ago.
A week ago,
Stole that
2
one
weeks
on
ago,
them.
yeah.
Guy fumbled the ball. And,
Yeah. Yeah.
And that was that. So,
Amazing. It's amazing.
and that's it. But no, really, all thing we just have some fun. But folks, the thing is that, as you've heard, Michael, we've had a great year, and there's every indication that 2018 is going to be another solid year.
Yeah.
Barring any catastrophic thing that we don't see today. But the way everything is shaping up, it looks like just keep it going. And I think to Michael's point, Michael, I think you're 100% right. That tax rate is going to have
I think that's
a
going to be
major
huge.
effect. And
Very
it's
big.
going to really be a lot bigger and stronger than people really think.
Mm-hmm.
You know, with all the naysaying of the Democrats and
Right.
and the media
Right.
beating on it, I think, as this rep said, when 80% of the people get more money in their paychecks,
Mm-hmm.
people are going to forget all of, what do you mean it's bad?
Yeah.
What do you mean it's bad?
And
You know?
the millions that big corporations are going to save, that's
Yeah.
going to be used for
That's
some
gonna,
good.
everything, new equipment, expansion,
Right.
jobs.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. And if they take it themselves, they got to pay tax on it.
They got to pay tax on it, so
Yeah,
that, comes
that goes back in.
That's right.
Well, Michael, let's have a happy new year. Thank you
Absolutely.
once again. It's been a fun year,
It
and
really
we look
has.
forward to another great one.
May 18 be just as good.
Super. Thank you very much. There you have it, folks. That's another Conversations With.